Hey, wanted to do a video today quickly before I head and do some other stuff about we're about to hit the kind of precipice of a new way of interacting with the Steem blockchain as far as I'm concerned. I've been thinking about some of the things that Krim was saying last week and then this week about Myra and front ends and kind of how customizing that's going to make a big difference. And after all the changes that have been happening at Steam It with the featured posts and advertising and all that sort of stuff, that kind of forced me to look at Steam Peak and Busy and all the other front ends, all the other expressions of condenser on the front end. Now, it's kind of apathetic of me to be like, why have I not looked into condenser myself? Why have I not downloaded that code? Especially now that they've removed the wallet code from it. So really what you're doing is you're tinkering with bits of code to pull back relevant items from the Steem blockchain. So let me just break that down a little bit to simplify that. The Steem blockchain is just like this massive big Excel spreadsheet of just ledger entries, right? Just column after column after column of ledger entries. You pull back, you read, you can comment. You have 4 different passwords for your Steam account to be able to do those things: voting, commenting, writing, posting back to the blockchain, things like that, and a memo field as you're doing transactions, balances and things. But now we're getting to the point where the cost to develop your front end, your own dApp, your own witness, is going to be reduced onto what would be called consumer grade hosting. So you can pretty much get a cloud instance for about $5 and upwards on the internet. You can just spin it up. You can go to like a dashboard, you can put your credit card details in, spin up an instance, install the Steem blockchain code for witnessing, and with Myra on its way, with all the integration to do with this thing called RocksDB, reduce the amount of memory usage that instance uses. Now, it used to be really expensive to store or run or keep active a witness because of the amount of memory it needs, because of the amount of swapping it in and out of the memory that the Steemd, the actual code that runs a witness, would need. Well, now we're getting to a new point where being able to spin up your own front end, so taking a copy of Condenser from the GitHub, spinning up a Myra enabled witness, and this is like cost, not necessarily, here's the interesting thing, not cost effective in terms of, oh, I can run my own witness and I can run my own front end. It's still like admin, you still got to manage it, you still got to know what you're doing with that stuff. There's going to be updates and patches and code changes and things that you need to do, which are going to take time to learn. But I feel like if you've struggled to integrate into certain communities, like there's certain communities that I like, but I will never like join like a tribe, like sheep, like person into. I like Steem Hunt, I like what it's done, I like the idea of what Review Hunt's going to do, I like what Idea Hunt's going to do. There's certain games on the blockchain, certain gambling things that I will never use. There's certain communities that I will never use, not for reasons of the people, just that I don't need that much interaction with a group of people in my life, back and forth, day by day in Discord. I've got things I want to do in my day-to-day life. So we're getting to a point where we're going to be able to build our own custom front ends, very niche, specific to what we want. So it might be, for instance, for me, video streaming, video editing, learning how to program, very specific things. In the same way that we tag certain videos, I kind of feel that our front ends will be very niche to that. And also flexible. I don't necessarily want to be in a group of 10 or 15, 20 live streamers and then just going back and forth who does the live streaming better. But I do want to be able to see those things easily. So we're getting to a point where the front ends are going to be styled exactly like you want. So imagine having your own Steemit that is completely non-biased, because Steemit has kind of gone biased with its featured items. It features people who subscribe to its scripture, like in terms of the way that it's doing things with advertising and everything else. You go to one of the events, you get on with the team, all of a sudden your stuff is at the top of the featured list. So I love the idea that we can move away from that. I love the but that also sparks a concern in me as well, because without the core blockchain team behind Steemit, then the Steemit blockchain's code doesn't evolve, because I don't seem to see other Steem blockchain developers outside of the Steemit team. So that's a concern, because it's almost like Bitcoin in a minute at the moment, because we have to keep Uncle on life support, otherwise all the alts kind of fall apart. So, and I guess in some ways that's the reason why people went off and did Litecoin and all the other iterations of Bitcoin, because they wanted to deploy efficient code, while other people were like, don't move away from the original vision, which is, I kind of see why we have to kind of keep Steemit part of the conversation. But if Steemit as a front end is no longer working for you, like for instance, it's 3 years in now and we don't have embeds for Twitch, or we don't have embeds for certain things that are like native environments on the web today. You go to any social sharing site and they'll have like embeds that you can copy and paste and put in there and it'll work. And I think that's a huge thing we need to change. So instead of like applying for that to be changed or whitelisted in the condenser, you can roll your own condenser. And the idea of just doing that and then expecting the other witnesses out there to like service that was always a problem for me. So this new enabled Myra witness that's going to be cheap to run, it means you could build your own front end, you can point all your front end stuff to that witness, and then you're also contributing to the chain. Other people on the chain can at some point vote up and down or comment on stuff, and you're supporting the chain. It makes more sense to me, rather than the whole like, I want to be a witness because XYZ, I want to make money for it, or I want to be in the top 20. I'm not interested in any of that stuff. The notion of having a sysadmin job of running a witness does not appeal to me at all. What appeals to me is, what can we do with 5G, high-speed connections, real-time interaction? What happens when everybody becomes their own front-end portal on a high-speed, low-latency network globally? Does that make us all a TV station? Like, I'm more interested in sustainable growth and kind of pitching, how do we take our blockchain to be the world's first carbon neutral blockchain in the world? And now that the prices are coming down, now that the requirements are coming down, that makes it more of a entry point for me to be like, I need to learn how to mash up this condenser. It sounds a lot easier than it did before it had a wallet in there. And I need to run my own little Myra witness to be able to connect to that front end, so that I can play in a kind of safe environment, yet be part of the Steem blockchain and give back to the Steem blockchain by doing so, making it more resilient, making it more redundant. I'd love to hear back from anybody who has any ideas or visions of what will the Steem blockchain look like with 500 witnesses versus what it looks like today. Will it make it more resilient? Will it make it more attractive? How do we story tell that? Because as soon as Myra drops, I'm expecting a lot more people wanting to run a witness. And I think this would be an optimum time, especially with the way that people are looking at the environment and the world, to be like, how do we take the Steem blockchain to be hosted carbon neutral around the world? All right, I'm off out. See you later. Bye.
Drifting slowly into